Our government wants to give business the power to go through your internet search history in order to make sure you're not going to pose a threat to our country. But if we had higher standards of education, we would have higher social mobility. If we had higher social mobility, we would have higher levels of patriotism. If we had higher levels of patriotism, we would have a very low risk of espionage and sabotage. Therefore, we would need less intrusion into people's private lives. So if we have higher levels of education, people will truly believe that they can have an extraordinary life. That will mean that people focus on the things that matter, such as building themselves a better future. And if people believe that they have a fair chance to succeed in life, they will be much less likely to commit criminal acts. On the other hand, if people believe that the system is rigged against them, and if they believe there is no chance of climbing the ladder of opportunity, and if they believe they have no social mobility, then people will be more likely to commit criminal acts. So the best way to decrease crime in our society is to increase the level of fairness and decrease the level of government corruption. Now, it takes many forms. One very blatant form of corruption that entered our workforce 15 years ago is that government decided that no matter what kind of job you do, you need to get a certificate for it. If you want a job in hospitality, you need a certificate, even if you've worked in hospitality for 50 years. All of a sudden, you need a certificate to do the job that you've been doing for half your life. If you want to be a cleaner, you can't even mop a floor or clean a toilet without a certificate. Why? To prevent your employer from being sued. So you have to pay money to attend some school that's owned by some politician's friend or associate in order to get your certificate. This is corruption. The only reason you need a certificate to do every damn thing on earth is so that some corrupt politician's friend can earn huge sums by running training colleges. Soon you'll need a certificate just to wipe your own ass. When I was a child, I looked up to people who travelled around Australia and travelled around the world. My heroes used to travel around Australia and they get a job for a few weeks or a few months. Just a simple job, no certificate, no papers needed. They get a job loading sacks onto a truck or tilling a field or digging a ditch or working in a warehouse. Just simple jobs as they travelled, but that's not possible now. You need a certificate to say that you're capable of doing a job that you've been doing for decades anyway. You can't mop a floor without a certificate. You can't work in hospitality without a certificate. This is corruption. But why has this happened? Because our leaders are corrupt lawyer bastards. 1/4 of our politicians are lawyers, but only 1/5 of 1% of the general population are lawyers. There are 132 times as many lawyers in Parliament as in the Australian population. Yet political corruption is at an all-time high. So with a huge number of lawyers in our government, corruption is at an all-time high. The correlation between lawyers and corruption is unmistakable and undeniable. The world's biggest companies pay huge bribes all around the world, and our politicians have repeatedly rejected attempts to set up anti-corruption bodies. Politicians have allowed lawyers to shape the modern world. First, they destroyed our civil liberties by making it possible for people to sue others for their own stupidity or their own criminality or their own recklessness. Even a burglar who injures himself robbing somebody's house can sue the homeowner. Since the 1990s, people have been suing left, right and centre for the most ludicrous things and getting huge payouts. A lady bought a takeaway coffee. She was offered a lid, but she declined it. She spilt coffee on her hand and down her legs, so she sued the business for $600,000, even though they had warned her to take a lid. A judge tried to sue a dry cleaner for $67 million because they misplaced his pants. Many people have successfully sued small business owners and driven them out of business. This makes it extremely difficult for people to start a business because malicious criminals might pretend to slip over and then sue them, causing loss of their business and loss of their life's work. This destroys the goodwill, the honesty, and the virtue in our society. How is anyone expected to make a living honestly when selfish criminal behavior can make you rich? The situation recently got so bad that the swings in children's playgrounds were chained up because councils were afraid that if a child fell off a swing, they would get a lawsuit. The fear of lawsuits has drained the modern world of fun. Children may not sell lemonade, snacks, or even their own bicycles anymore. This prevents them from learning good values at a young age. The fear of lawsuits has shut down thousands of community events. The fear of lawsuits has shut down thousands of fundraisers. Lawyers and the threat of lawsuits has impoverished our society of fun and destroyed the concept of personal responsibility. People may commit incredible acts of stupidity, then sue someone else when they get injured. It also discourages incentive and rewards criminality. Laws are supposed to encourage effort and punish criminality. Our laws do the opposite. Our workers' wages have stagnated for decades, while the rich have been getting richer for the last 45 years. Now, the government wants to allow big business to examine your personal internet search history. The only way to stop all of this is for regular people to enter the government. Only when regular people enter the government will things change. I'm running for a seat in the New South Wales Senate at the next federal election. Let's make Western civilization great again. Vote for Western values. Vote for William Flynn in the Senate at the next federal election. Thank you, ladies and gents. Good night. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is William Flynn. I will be running for a seat in the Senate at our next federal election. And as we all know, lawyers are destroying our civilization. Lawyers are destroying our society. Lawyers are destroying our country.